Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Happs Takeover event. We have an amazing lineup for you tonight, hosted by Rev MacInnes. We have the big interview with an amazing musical act, an expert, even a Happs founder here. So we will cut to the special intro and then throw it to Rev.
Well, here we are. Peter, thank you, my friend, for that marvelous setup and for manning the helm for us here this evening. Look, if you've never seen me before, why not? I've been on Happs for quite a while. But if you haven't seen me before, I'm Revolution MacInnes. I am in Chicago. This is kind of my channel would be Rev Mac Live. This is the big interview. And, tonight it is something that's very special to me. I've got a lot of folks here with us tonight that are great friends, and I'm just excited to do this. We're going to talk about ritual, especially as it relates to live streaming and media. Before we do that, I wanted to pay a little quick bill here. This is a case from Scooch Case. Oh, you know what? We're on the Happs account. Let's not pay any bills. Oh, never mind. I didn't say anything about Scooch Case. I don't want Happs to be endorsing my friends in Indiana, but I'm sure they would. Was just in my regular habit there, folks. So what are we doing? We're talking ritual, and we're doing it with a great friend of mine. We're doing it with another great friend of mine who is also a musician, and then David, who's the co-founder of Happs and becoming a good friend of mine, I think and hope. And these folks, Peter, if you want to bring them all in, we're just going to have a discussion about ritual. And this was kind of prompted, and we can certainly talk about other things as well, but this was kind of prompted on the Happs, was it the announcement? I think it was. That was the last time you were on something that I was watching, David, and you were talking about ritual. And it just fit in perfectly the way you were talking about it with what I think, I would really like us to talk about tonight, which is how does ritual play a role in entertainment, in media, in video, in all of these things. And then the other side of it too, should we create our own rituals and, specifically to, bring better engagement, better connectivity with your viewers. So how does that sound, David?
Sounds great to me. This is a subject close to my heart because I just started noticing that as a lifelong media consumer, like anybody, born in this contemporary period, my favorite hit shows were always filled with rituals. When I was very young in the business, I worked on the show Cheers, and every time Norm would make an entrance, and they'd say Norm, and hello, Mr. Peterson, and a ritual response. It's like it never gets old. It never it becomes something. It's soothing. It becomes something you enjoy again and again, and the more it happens, the more you enjoy it. And I just noticed, I started putting together, connecting the dots and just noticing the way so many hit shows are just filled with rituals, and that becomes the really most appealing part of the whole thing. That we don't get tired of it. It's soothing. It connects with us at some deep level. And I'd be interested to hear what my two co-panelists have to say about the same thing.
And that is a perfect time to ask the two of you. I'll just quickly introduce you both. And of course, David is the co-founder of Happs, And man, he worked at some place called CNN, some place called Disney, these pretty big deal places, and he produces stuff, and he's just an intriguing guy. He has a program on Happs here occasionally where he interviews incredibly interesting people, and enjoy that stuff very much. And then we have Dr. Dominica McBride down there to my right, stage left, I think. And Dominica is like, I don't know, Dee, we've known each other for like almost 10 years now. Actually, it's 9. I think it's a solid 9. And we have been working together and become friends around issues of social justice, racial equity. And I've been helping her with her nonprofit since before it started. And so it's pretty near and dear to my heart. But I asked Dominica here tonight to talk to us about this subject, and I thought that would be fun. And then right above her, we have Chris Angeles. And I mean, if you know Happs, you know Chris. She's kind of, she's the singer of the. We've got a ton of them, but I relate Happs and Chris just so strongly together. And yes, so we're going to have some music from Chris, but she's going to be joining us on the panel now. If you can remember what David's question was, which is, what do you think about that subject? Dominica?
Yeah. My background is in psychology. I have a doctorate in community psychology, and I was a therapist in my past for children, families, elders. And from a psychological perspective, ritual is huge. Ritual is so central to being human. And like David said, to like bring that sense of comfort and familiarity and predictability in a world and in this life that's always changing, for us to be able to grab hold of something that we can kind of rely on and depend on and count on and predict, it's extremely comforting. And so when it happens in the media, I think that's so powerful, because it gives us that sense of empathy, of like stepping into that situation again and again. Like you brought up Cheers, David. Like that was one of my favorite shows when I was a child, and I loved their interaction. I loved their relationship and the ritual of that, of coming into that space where you're friends, where you have your community, where you're welcomed, and then seeing that in media, you like enter into it, right? Like you feel like it's you that's experiencing that, right? And so that power it can be healing in a lot of ways, like when it's done right. And so in the media, it's powerful. And then of course, when we take it into our own lives and we have ritual ourselves, that brings a whole other level of practice, of depth, of going deeper and deeper into an experience. I think about the ritual of something like meditation every morning, or the ritual of saying goodnight to a loved one in the evening. Like what those things do day after day, and how they can deepen your experience in this life. So glad we're talking about ritual today.
Cool. By the way, I'm glad you like Cheers so much. It really was such a thrill to work on that show. It was just every day to just read what the writers would come up with was just extraordinary. And the quality of the acting talent was so outstanding. And there was, I think that it was kind of interesting because in a sense, the entire bar itself was a ritual for the characters who were a part of it. So it was, it's ground zero for talk about rituals in media.
Very much so. Chris, this is a fun little segue. You play in a lot of bars. No, I'm just having fun. So go ahead with
good segue there, Rev. Yeah. That's not badly done.
What do you have to think, Chris? And great to see you too again.
You too. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. I mean, all of this, what you're saying is so true. Like, and as it applies to filmmaking, I've been an actress and in the film industry before I was a musician, and then in the musician world, like obviously musicians will have all of their rituals to get ready for a show, but also during the shows. I know that when I go to a show of a band that I really like, you're there for the moments that are like yay, this is the part where we all sing together, or this is this is the part where they tell that story that I never get tired of hearing. So yeah, it's like you said, it's something that is comforting and fun, and it's like an inside joke with like characters that you love, and like creating community and relationship with the audience. And that's why, yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I don't think I have much more to add, I don't think.
That is, Peter gives us a good little question here to ask. Or somebody on the Happs account, could be interesting to ask the audience about their favorite rituals these days and their routines. So we would love to hear about what your favorite rituals and routines are, out there in the audience. David, so you're now letting me do what I do when I interview, which is get squirrely and fly around here a little bit. So I try not to get too off track, but because we're going to talk about Cheers for a second. And first of all, like, were you like a PA at 5? I mean, you can't be older than me.
I was a baby executive, and I was, I think, 23 or 24 when I first started working on the show. And it was a very, it was a friendly set, but I was a little intimidated because it was, these were top people that were working.
Yeah, that hair, Ted Danson.
Yeah, a lot of, yeah. And they were real pranksters. The cast were pranksters with each other. Ted Danson and Woody. Can you imagine? How about the irony of Woody Harrelson came in, was an unknown actor, to read for the part of Woody Boyd. It literally was a character named Woody. It was Beschert, as you might say, that it was all like coming together. Yiddish.
So it wasn't written around him. He was nobody.
He was, it was, and remember, they were replacing this beloved member of the cast who was the coach who had died in real life.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was a vacancy in the cast, and it's like, okay. And they wisely decided, let's not try to recast that same role with that same type of person. Let's get somebody different. So they came up with this, with this character named Woody Boyd, and it's just, the rest is history. And I was actually very friendly with Woody at that time because we were about the same age, and we were, we had each other to talk to, on the set. He had more in common with me than he did with some of the older people in the cast. But, that show was full of ritualistic structure, little incidents, little things. One of the ones that a real connoisseur of the show might remember is there was a old man character. And I think during one of my first episodes, I can't remember when this started, but I think it was one of the first episodes in the first season that I was working there. They had a part for, it just said man, and he had one line. And the line was, the bar was trying to think of a celebrity that they could bring in that would attract a lot of attention for some purpose or other. And somebody suggested the mayor. And one of the patrons says, no, bigger. So they say, well, how about the governor? No, bigger than the governor. How about the president? No, bigger than the president. They're scratching their head. How about the Pope? No, bigger. And there's the whole bar goes silent. And this old man character sitting on the sitting on the opposite end of the bar. And the character says again, like, who's bigger than the Pope? And the old man says, Sinatra. And big laugh. And they didn't intend to have that a recurring character, but it was so funny with that one line that they brought him back every episode to have one line. And instead of man, the character's name in the scripts was the man who said Sinatra, which I thought was just terrific.
I like that. So ritual on the fly, basically.
Ritual on the fly. I was thinking as you were talking, as you mentioned something about me having to do with CNN, I was thinking about how if you look at the lineup of all the top newscasters on all the cable news networks, let's say Fox, let's say the big three, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, those shows are all filled with rituals. You know, what does Rachel Maddow do? She does her cocktail, she does this, she does that. You know, their segments are ritualistic, you know, and now it's time for the angle, you know, and Laura Ingraham goes off and does her thing. They've structured it very ritualistically to be this soothing experience for their, you know, for their tribe, so to speak.
That, by the way, folks, David is very humble when he says, you know, over that CNN thing. I think you were a pretty big deal there, like ran the news programming thing or something. What was your title?
I had a very highfalutin title. It was called Chief Programming Officer, which sounds more important than it actually is. But I did have the true pleasure and honor of, I spearheaded bringing Anderson Cooper over to the network, and I initiated the recruitment of Don Lemon to the network, and I helped recraft a morning program that they had, and the ratings went way up. We had Paula Zahn starring in it, and it did extremely well. So I had a chance to develop a lot of new programming there and be part of a team that was really, you know, I think at the time, definitely the A team of news gathering in the United States and arguably around the world, maybe a rival of the BBC in that regard. But it was a fun place. And it was fun to get to know those other CNN brand name people like Wolf Blitzer and Christian Amanpour. And, you know, it was a very interesting time. I was there during the Iraq War. I was also there when 9/11 happened, and I will never forget being in the CNN newsroom at oh my goodness, that, don't you hate it when someone calls you on Messenger during a broadcast? That just happened to me. So it was a fun and exciting time and an amazing experience, and I was underqualified for the role that I had, but it was fun. It was fun nonetheless.
Well, I want to say too quickly, and we're gonna jump out and do a song here in just a minute. But what I want to say quickly too about you and CNN and all of this, and tie this kind of into Happs as well. David's association with media and entertainment and news and everything, I mean, is just, to my mind's eye, just a culmination of things that come together to create this platform that we're on called Happs. And if it sounds like I'm evangelizing or proselytizing, I am. This is an amazing platform. It's a great place to have discussions like this. It's a great place to play music. It's a great place to do journalism. I have a fantastic friend that I think you might know, David, Marianne Okan in Lagos in Nigeria. We've become really good friends over the last 6 months, and we're going to get her on the show sometime soon. And so this place is international. You've got people from around the world watching, and you have people, you know, from around the world participating here on camera. And so a huge thanks to you, David, and everybody at Happs. And it's lovely to be here for the takeover. And we've got a currency on Happs. They are coins. You don't have to do any coins tonight on the Happs platform, but you'll see that you can buy coins if you're here with us on Happs, but you can give those coins to the folks that create here whenever you want, even on episodes that, you know, you're just replaying. And Joy Christine, hi Joy, great to see you. She just gave us a Happs Hug Award, and I'm going to go talk to everybody in the comments here real quick as well. But I wanted you to know a little bit about Happs. You can sponsor people. You can sponsor Chris Angeles up there. I would recommend $50 a month. I think that's a nice number. I don't know, that's like a Starbucks every day or something like that. But if you want to do 10 or 15 or 20 a month, you can do that. It is a great thing to do. You can in fact sponsor Dominica and do the same thing. And that money, I'm quite sure, would go to people's to people that become helps. So yeah, you can sponsor people, do that as well. And thank you. Let's go back through the comments and see if we see anybody. That's fine. let's go back through the comments here and see if anybody said anything about ritual. I appreciate that, Peter. And Dimitri, you wait a minute. It's Dimity. I'm having trouble seeing here. You know why? Oh, the glasses are a little fogged up. Wow, incredible experience, David. We are honored. You've created Happs with Mark and the team. It's such a great platform. If anybody's got those comments about ritual, this would be a good time to give them to us, and we will happily talk about them. All right. Now, after being disheveled there, let me refocus. We'll talk to Chris. Chris, I hear you play music.
I do that sometimes, yes.
You did mention.
Do you want me to do that now?
That. Yes, I would love for you to play a song for us. We are going to have a musical guest as a regular feature of the big interview going forward. Chris is making the debut, and she's joining us on the panel because, she knows a lot about live streaming and being a musician, and ritual would be a big key there. But yeah, play a song for us. What are you going to play?
I was having a hard time deciding. I guess it depends on how many songs am I going to sing throughout this, or just one?
Just say two.
Okay. Well then, how about, this is a song called That Siren Hope, which is from my album that came out in 2020. And I want to play it right now because it's very exciting. It's featured on episode 3 of season 4 of Atypical that just came out. And so that's been really great. Been getting lots of comments and stuff about it, and just want to share this.
How did that get picked up over there? Is that a Netflix show?
It is, yeah.
That's awesome, Chris. That's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to be included on that show. I haven't watched it, but I've heard really good things, and I'm going to watch it. So this is called That Siren Hope. Thanks, Will, for posting that.
Hey, Will.
Do you know where we're going? I've been sailing for days, tossing boulders in that rowdy sea, longing for your gaze, like a minefield full of fireflies, drawing me in when I should flee. Are you ever truly satisfied? Would you really want to be? I thought that shine was a lighthouse, but it was just that siren hope. Sang me to sleep, oh yeah, she taught me to dream. Turns out her song was just a joke. Fell to the ground and found our crown in the dark. Yeah, we hid in plain view. We told secrets everyone could hear. You're the siren and you. If you come closer, see your hands are numb from centuries of spinning lace. Came to the cliffs all in ecstasy, and met the salt upon my face. I thought that shine was a lighthouse, the question, who wants to be the answer? Weary sailor, can I read the stars? You keep singing and I'll be the dancer. I thought that shine was a lighthouse, but it was just that siren sang me to sleep. Oh yeah, she taught me to dream. Turns out her song's just a joke. Turns out her song's just a joke. Thank you.
Yay.
Lovely. Really, really beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Did you want me to play another song right now, or is it going to be like another break? Because that's totally whatever you want to do.
No, we'll have another break. And
Great.
I mean, we might have to have you. I don't know. Did I say you only could play 2? Yeah, I think you probably play 3. We'll figure
Whatever
it out.
you guys want me to do. I have many songs.
Yes, you do. And man, we had like I literally was only like maybe 3 weeks that it was like all Chris and Revolution together on Happs.
Yeah.
But man, you went all the way through your catalog with that. And, just check Chris Angelus out, chrisangelus.com. If our buddy Will could put that in there, I think he will, in the comments. And your music is absolutely phenomenal. That it's being picked up by a show on Netflix is not a surprise at all to me. So yeah, I am just really lovely to have you back.
Thank you so much.
And we'll have to do this again. And definitely we're going to be able to have music on the show every night. So that'll be great. Dominica, can you... Okay, so we got this whole thing with Cheers and we have all this stuff with Ritual. And David, I think you really laid that foundation of just how much Ritual is in a program like Cheers or CNN, with their broadcasting. Dominica, what does that idea of Ritual look like to us, right? The viewer. And then does that have the other side to it, to even the people that are doing the ritual?
Yeah, but I think I didn't hear everything you said. My internet skipped out a little bit. But did you say what is it? What does ritual look like in our lives? Like when we actually practice ritual?
That we're directly kind of seeing from this media too. I think, how we're seeing it, how it's affecting us, in that larger sense.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna start with neuroscience. I'm a neuroscience nerd. I love the brain. I love learning about the brain. And one of the fascinating things about the brain are these things called mirror neurons, and it basically makes us inherently empathic. At least for those who have like functioning brains, right? Like the average healthy brain, like it makes us empathic. And so when we see someone outside of ourselves doing something, like writing something down or running or getting hurt, our brain experiences it as if we were doing that thing, right? Because of these mirror neurons. And so when we see ritual, like on the screen, we see ritual of other people, to some extent, it's like we are doing that ritual, and so it has an impact on the way we think, on our own consciousness, even on our physiology when we're actually in the moment and absorbing this and taking it in. And so in some ways it can be comforting, like in Cheers, and in other ways it can be it can be somewhat destructive. Like when we see negative things over and over and over in the media, when we hear certain messages, when we see things like, somebody getting hurt over and over again, like I'm trying to think about violence or whatever that might be, because all those things, like when it's repeated over and over again, that's still a sense of a form of ritual, right? Like when you have this pattern that's you're taking in or that you're doing. And so that can also have that negative effect on us because of our mirror neurons, because of that inherent empathy. And so that just goes to say, like, be careful about what you're allowing into your mind, right? Like in the media, like what you're watching, what you're allowing to shape you, because everything we watch and everything we listen to, it shapes us in some way.
I wonder, listening to you, Dr. Domenica, I actually wonder if, because of the fact that the world is getting crazier and crazier, and that craziness is all like, in our hands right now, and it's all coming at us, and it's all anxiety producing, another email, another message, oh my God, what's happened? Any bad news instantly is around the world. And I wonder if it just intensifies our craving and desire for ritual as a way of countervailing the unpredictability of everything else. Like at least we can kind of have this thing. I bet you, I haven't studied this, but my God, during COVID, there must have been astronomical viewing of television, media, digital media, everybody who had anything to offer. And I think a lot of that, I bet you that there was just an extraordinary movement toward the comfort food of certain kinds of media, emotionally and psychologically. And I learned something on this broadcast about those mirror neurons. I didn't know anything about them, and that makes complete sense. And the more, but sorry, go right ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, just to tack on to what you're saying, I found, it would have been a great time, right, to have all of this content and be like, oh, I'm going to catch up on all these shows that I've been meaning to watch or whatever. But like, I, having anxiety in myself anyway, found myself just watching the same shows that I've always watched over and over, because it was like, I know what's going to happen. So it's not adding to my anxiety and the unknown of all of this that's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it speaks to something, I think, deep in the human experience and consciousness, that we're recreating that dopamine hit we got from the first time it happened, and it felt good, and we're just wanting it again and again. Somebody actually once was explaining to me, who was an alcoholic. I said, well, how do you know that you're an alcoholic? And he said, what do you do, David, if you have 2 drinks? And I said, well, I usually stop because I'm feeling a little bit of a buzz. And he said, David, for an alcoholic, that's just when it's getting good. And he said, and he explained to me, the alcoholic is always trying to recreate the thrill of that first buzz from that first drink. And of course, it's something that they can never recapture, but the desperate desire is to. So maybe our rituals are a safer way for us to sort of recapture that little dopamine hit that we get from, the man who said Sinatra, and I got to wait. What's he going to say today? What's the line going to be? And it was always something so clever, And I tell people sorry, go ahead, Chris, please. Or Domenica,
Oh, sorry to interrupt. And you're just saying so much that it's getting me excited. So the thing with like ritual too is that it can be that, like you said, anxiety, or like it can be comforting, but it can also be that anxiety provoking, like just getting up every morning and looking at the news, or looking at Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, like grabbing the phone and that being the first. That's a ritual right there, right? And so like paying attention to the conscious rituals that we can create, like the ritual of community, or the ritual that's healing for you, right? Like, talking to a loved one, or meditation or something like that. But then also paying attention to those rituals that we just fall into, and we don't even realize that we're in this ritual that is actually like hurting us.
Yeah, I was thinking of when you were talking about that. I was thinking about friends like in bad relationships, and thinking about the terrible rituals that exist between people in a bad relationship with each other. That ritualistic, dynamic that is actually that they're unconsciously addicted to. That's actually bad for everybody. So maybe there's something so innocuous about our favorite media rituals because they're safe from that. Norm's entrance line is not going to make your life worse. It's going to just give you a smile and a laugh and go, oh, that's so good. I go to Cheers just for the reasons that I mentioned, but obviously you could pretty much go to any of your favorite shows and figure out like, oh yeah, they do that every time. And I always advise people when people are asking me for programming advice, or somebody like Rev says, well, how can I make my show better? I'm like, develop some rituals with your audience. Develop some rituals, whatever it is.
I wanted to say something about like the rituals and community, and like how when you said, how do you get back to that high that you had the first time? I think one of the ways that we try to at least get closer to it is by sharing our rituals, right? Like, why do we always want to be like, oh, you have to watch this show and now I can talk to you about it, or I want to watch this with you, or I want to do this thing with you, and like bring people into your rituals. Like I noticed about myself, and that, so like I used to work on The Voice, and they have a audience warm up guy that says the same like cheesy jokes and little gags like for every audience every day, and I enjoyed it every time. Now, like, because I was watching the audience experience it for the first time. If I was just there by myself, I'd be like, okay, you've said that joke 20 times now, so it's not funny anymore. But I was like so happy to watch the audience hear it for the first time and be like, oh, ha, ha. Like, so I think that there is definitely something about that, about like how the rituals create community, because we are sharing that with each other to get back to that joy of experiencing it for the first time.
And I think we're descended from ritualizers. I use this little idea sometimes when talking about this sense of spirituality that humans have. Just about everybody, I think, that's not a narcissist, not necessarily religious, but this feeling, this kind of spiritual feeling that we all share, on the savannah 1.5 million years ago, and you're a proto-human and you're running around with your tribe, with your group, and Bob just gets taken out by a lion. Bam, he's dinner. And so Wanda, it would be his wife, if they had laws and judges and stuff. And she is devastated. And of course she starts dragging behind from the tribe, and, it's getting kind of weak, and she's just devastated. And whoosh, lion gets her. Oop, she's out, but same thing happened to another guy named Bob at a different time, so evolution works. And his wife, Wanda, was like, whew, good riddance. And that was done. But somebody else kind of was in between. Like, they ritualized a practice of when somebody passes away, they made totems, and they did these different things to kind of celebrate the life or close it out. And so I really think that we are descended, not from the Bobs and Wandas that, got eaten, but from the folks that had some kind of ritualistic practice built in to their culture and to themselves.
That's interesting, to help them through the tough times, to help them through the coping mechanism. Yeah. How interesting.
That's always been my thought.
Sure. Makes sense.
Coping. I thought you were gonna go the safety route, Rev. I was like anticipating the next part of your story, and I thought it was going to be like somebody coming up with a ritual to actually like know when know when and where there was going to be danger, and so like knowing where to steer away, or when to be with community, or when to deepen like certain practices, or what to build up so that you can protect yourself or your family or your community. And I think in that way, like, rituals can also be protective. I mean, it's like the foundation of culture, and we create culture, right? These shared practices, because we want to continue on as a group. We want to continue on as a species. So rituals can be life-saving to some extent, right? Like, depending on the ritual and depending on just how, like what you were saying, Chris, how collective they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And just drilling down the brain a little bit too, because it always reminds me, Dominica, of the stereotyping story of same thing. You can do lion, tiger, guy drifts from Africa to India, and he's like, ooh, shit, whoa, whiskers? Noisy, big, furry. Fuck, I gotta run. Right? He had to stereotype that lion, to recognize the tiger. Same way with a chair, if you had to think about sitting down every time you sat down, you'd never get anything done. But you stereotype objects that are sittable, that are like chairs. So that seems to be the same kind of brain that would be wired for ritual as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. I mean, that the function of the brain that Rev is talking about is called automaticity, and it basically like says, like, let's make this thing automatic that we're doing on a regular basis so that we can save energy for something that's actually like more important or more dangerous. So then, like, stereotyping is one of those ways that it makes things automatic. And so, yeah, like Rev said, like, stereotyping just everything that is a chair. Like, we have a stereotype of a chair and we don't even need to think about chairs. We just sit on them. So then if we have like an attack or something, we can pay attention to that and we can go for that. Yeah, it's right in there. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, this is sort of tangentially related, because what you were saying about if you had to think about sitting down every time. There is, I actually have a degree in psychology too, not like as much as you do probably, Dominica, but I learned about proprioception, which is the ability of your body to like know where it is, like how I can like do this without looking. And like there's a story or this case study of this man who woke up one day for some reason and he didn't have it anymore. It didn't work. And he literally had to like look at his foot every time he put it down to walk. And like, because he like didn't know where his body was. He had to be looking at it to do things. And this just reminded me of that. Thank goodness we have proprioception. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Chris, well, I mean, just being able to... Go ahead, David.
Well, I was thinking about Chris, as a musical artist, it's just interesting to think about how ritualistic concerts themselves actually are. The ritual of the encore, the ritual of the sing-along with the audience, the ritual for most acts of having their big, huge hit, which is the last song of the set. It's literally like that's part of what we're going for, is a sort of series of rituals with people we know and like, with songs that are ritualistically, burned into some type of cell that Dr. Domenica would know what the label of it is. And that, and that's part of the whole appeal. It's really, and it doesn't get old. It's like every time you hear Paul McCartney sing Yesterday, it's just fantastic,
Yeah. And you go to the concert to do the community part aspect of it, because otherwise you'd just be
we're all going to be together in the family doing the ritual together. I'm gonna do this little trademark song that I always do. I'm gonna do this little sequence of things, and it's definitely speaking deeply to what we need, And think about the emotional association we have with our favorite songs, and the ritual of medicating ourselves with those songs over and over again. If we're feeling blue, if we're feeling like we want to get excited again, if we're feeling like remembering something we want to remember, there are all those, that music is part of the whole toolkit for that.
For sure. Take you back.
Speaking of that, just a quick question for you, Chris. Like when you are creating a song, is there a specific format, like a kind of like a ritual that you go through in order to create that? And are you thinking about the audience in that process, like the listeners and how they'll experience it, or are you fully in like the expression of it?
Am I fully in what? It broke up for a second.
Oh, the expression. Are you fully in the expression when you're creating a song, or is there a specific format that you use and you're thinking about the audience, or you think about the listener in the process?
It depends. Mostly it's me trying to just express what I want to express. I actually sort of try not to think about how it's going to come across. At least not in a commercial sense, I guess. In a way of like, how would I feel if I heard this, and how do I want the audience to feel? That kind of thing, yes, I do think about. And like in terms of my songwriting kind of ritual, it happens differently. Sometimes there's so many different ways that I've written songs, but usually I just go around, have experience in my life, and if I have a thought that I think is interesting, I'll just like write it down in my little notebook. And then when it's time, ever I've like been like stewing on it for a while, I'll like sit down with the guitar and go through and like formulate those thoughts into things that rhyme and add melodies. But yeah, it's usually, yes, I guess I am thinking about the audience, but not necessarily, like I said, the commercial audience. It's more like, because usually it's about someone, and I do think about how they might feel if they heard it. But what's kind of cool is music is my way to say things that I wouldn't say to someone. Well, actually,
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You got a couple songs that if the dude heard that, be like, ooh, shit. I also was going to say that, one of her rituals has to be that she sits around the dinner table with her secret husband, because I know she's making up all those stories of heartbreak because they're just too good. They hurt too much. But yes, just
you have to really feel it.
you make me feel those songs in every way. They are very powerful like that. The ritual of songwriting, Dee, that's a good question, because that is definitely something I like to ask musicians, just about their process and everything. David, is it like a producer or, kind of on that level, give me some times maybe where you have tried to incorporate ritual into some work that you're a part of, right? Have you ever gotten them to do something?
Yeah, I'll often say, if I were in my days of being a notes giver, somebody who's a creative executive overseeing a show for the network or for the studio, if I saw something that I was like, this is good to do again, I would definitely flag it, or I saw, anything that just seemed like this could become a catchy ritual, I was never shy about pointing that out, like, do that again, and then in things that I've even taken a much more deep and comprehensive role with, scripts I've written, series I've kind of created myself, I have really tried to pay attention to what's a recurring scene, a recurring, bit of business that we could do to help make this successful. So yes, I'm consciously thinking of it. Because in part, I think that it's never talked about with TV series. It's never talked about with hit TV series because people aren't consciously aware of it, including a lot of creative people. So I feel like it's an advantage I can have in developing content or in advising people about content, is to have that awareness and to realize like, oh yeah, that is what it's all about. That's what you want to do. By the way, did you know, I had no idea that I'm so old that I grew up with Saturday morning cartoons. Did you know that they only had 13 original cartoons in a season? 13 original episodes. of all your favorite.
It was a 13-week season.
13-week season, and they would repeat them 4 times.
Oh wow!
And the kids never got tired of it, right?
Oh no, I miss those Saturday morning cartoons.
Isn't it crazy that no TV network now has them?
Not,
you know,
yeah.
So no broadcast network has them. But anyway, that's, you know, so yeah, I'm a big proponent of it. I think people should, you know, when I'm trying to fix a show or enhance a show, I'm trying to think, what are the things about this that people could enjoy again and again? Because one of the things that I sort of became aware of, I have a different kind of life from most people. And, you know, it's got its pros and cons. But really, when I think of the lives of most people, they're very difficult, right? Most people have kids at some point or other in their life. That's a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous time commitment and energy drain. And most people have a job, even if they do have kids. Probably most, even moms are working moms now, even ones that have kids. So by the time you've been through a day, you've had it, and you are ready for something that comforts you. You know, and if you think about those shows that succeed over and over and over, and sometimes the ones that are inexplicable, they are comforting. They're so comforting. You know, look at the outpouring when the host of Jeopardy died. You know, like, look at how, because people enjoyed the ritual of just watching him do the show and watching and going through the structure of those 2 rounds and the final answer and the whatever. You know, it's like, look at even the research people were mystified by Wheel of Fortune. No one could understand why it did so well and why it's been such a success for such a long time. I suspect if we really looked at it from the standpoint of a ritualistic experience for everyone, that would explain a lot of its success.
I mean, that show is just pure like pattern, right? It's just the same pattern all the time. Like, I don't know if, I think eventually there was, like, I don't know if they've ever had anybody do it but Vanna White, but like for a long time she never spoke. You know what I mean? It was just well, and all these little.
And if you think of television stars, right? I mean, how is it sort of structurally different than film stars? Well, film stars you're seeing on occasion. It's like an exotic relative or mysterious special guest. Television, the success in television is always about familiarity and likability. You know, like, and if you think of the great television stars, they weren't mysterious. They were people you would feel you could be friends with. You knew them and you could be friends with them. You know, they're not intimidating. You know, they're people that you just enjoy spending time with and maybe feel more comfortable with, because they're not mysterious, they're not inscrutable, they're not intimidating. Usually, by the way, they're not terribly good looking. They're often very,
I have a chance,
likable looking. You know, Rev, you're very modest about your male modeling career, Rev, and we'll pretend we don't know that's your path. But
I'm a big model, big guy model.
It's interesting. Like, I mean, I think one of the biggest stars of the last 40 years on television, ironically, is Roseanne. You know, like, look at who Roseanne was and what she looked like and what kind of person she was and what her body type was and everything else. And, you know, it was like, this was somebody people knew and liked and related to, you know? So.
Very much so on that. Well, let's look at the comments here real quick. Peter gave us a cue. He gave us a little bit of time reference there. So I think we'll do a song here and then we'll kind of refresh ourselves after the song, see where we are. And let's just make sure Takara has been in here. It's great to see you. And I think Vanita was in here. We have, of course, Joy. Christine is here. Peter, of course, is here. Boy, Breezy. There's just so many people in here. We're not going to be able to mention everybody's name, but I do like to make sure everybody knows we're there, we're watching, and hearing what you're saying. And I gotta say, I do see some people run these rooms really well, and at a certain point you can't manage the comments, but I think even the comments, with Peter giving us some direct ideas around questioning, even reading your comments, you really can drive the way we are thinking up here. I've definitely seen that before, where I can feel the flow changing of the conversation, and nobody actually mentioned what was said out loud. So we are always listening to all of you out there. Listen, you can give everybody on the stage here more or less a sponsorship. Just go to people's profiles. You can give coins out to these folks. David will probably put them back in the bank, since he's a founder of Happs. Back in
I
the
do.
coin
Anything
bank.
I get just goes back to the community, but I'm happy to do that.
To take them, exactly. And but yeah, just support people. You can scroll back to the beginning of this. All of the comments here, there's like instructions on how Happs works and all that stuff. Join us at Happs. You can broadcast yourself, and you can get monetize yourself. One of the things that David and the team at Happs did is they've basically taken away a huge chunk of the fees that would be incurred with sponsorships and getting your awards. So it is a great place to become a broadcaster and maybe do something big on this platform. There is a lot of room to do something big here. And Chris, I am just nobody can tell how stoked I am tonight to have you here. Obviously, I've maintained my composure well. Dominic is like, yeah, no, he hasn't. And what is our next song? And did you change ideas of what you wanted to sing? Does that
Maybe.
tonight because of the conversation?
Maybe because
Yeah.
I was gonna play more, maybe like kind of an upbeat song, but then I was just thinking, I have a song called My Quiet, which is kind of, could be related to this sort of ritual and the things that we have in our lives that are our place of solace and peace, but can also be, like Dr. Domenico was talking about, sources of pain and turmoil as well. So I thought maybe that would be appropriate, even though it's not upbeat. Okay. It's called My Quiet. You're my quiet in a crowded room, a storm that's rolling on my shoes, a minor chord in a hopeful tune, the dust that settles, the sweet perfume. I'm just trying to get back to you. You're my flower on the interstate, an easy shot that ricocheted. I'll walk away, but I'll walk slow. If I'm honest, I know where to go. I'm just trying to get back to you. Ooh, you're the eye of a hurricane, a blindfold shot with perfect aim, a golden hour before the dark, An open heart that left a scar. We try to celebrate the sky we look to and how what it takes. We made wishes anyway. So hard, so breaking could beat another day. You're my quiet in a crowded room. I'm a cold in a hopeless room. I'm just trying. I'm just trying. I'm just trying to get back to you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That is a fantastic
Yeah,
song.
wonderful.
I just can't help but think about just how amazing your music videos are too, Chris, that you put out there. David, the music videos that Chris produces, they're as good as I think anything you'll see out there. And also, everybody, look, I know we're on the Happs channel, but I just put it up there. Make sure you're following all of these folks, and please, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give me a follow as well, because I forget this isn't my channel. So follow everybody here, and spread the word about Happs and this in this program to everybody, the big interview. And definitely, I know, because there are people that I communicate with that are friends of mine that will watch this replay, that they're professionals, in the music industry, in the business side of the business, and film people and TV people that are starting to watch my stuff. And Chris right here, I bet she could write movie music and music, scoring for shows and all kinds of stuff. And she's got a great catalog of music that you could use on your program. And I know you're listening out there. And in fact, I'll text a couple of you if you don't text me right now. So yes, that would be phenomenal. How's everybody feeling? Is there something we need to touch on here that we haven't touched on yet?
I mean, I'd be interested to see because any of the comments told us some of their favorite rituals. I'd be interested.
Oh, in the audience or us? Oh, us. Oh.
Us and the audience.
Yeah, us would be really great. And I won't tell one about myself, but this was one I did want to mention, because this is specifically kind of relating to live streaming. There is I don't know if it's still going, but it was about a year and a half. It was for a couple of years. You would go on Periscope or something, and if it were just a talk at you kind of thing, not necessarily like a show structured like this, people, they would be like, "Hey guys," blah 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 blah. Hey guys, pulling their attention back. You know what I mean? But it became, "Hey guys," for everybody. You know what I mean? It was just every platform, every person. Here's how you keep people engaged. You say, "Hey guys," and they even say it the same way. That it's not like, "Hey guys," it's, "Hey guys," everybody. Deep voice, high voice, everything. That kind of stuff is crazy. I don't know if that's ritual or not, but that's a very interesting thing that I've seen out there.
Oh, rituals for me. One of you guys mentioned meditation. That's one of my rituals every morning. I'd meditate. I try to every evening as well. I got into this new ritual. It's just a silly little thing, which is I've just discovered, I I get a really high quality tea in the morning, make myself a nice cup of tea, just like I'm in London, top it off with milk. And it's just become part of my morning routine, as I pop in front of the computer for my first Zoom call or emails or whatever. And I just love it.
Tea, ritual meditation and ritualistic tea. That sounds there's a few billion people that probably do that every morning. It's a good thing.
I remember I had this mentor in my life of sorts. He was almost like my sort of how to live mentor. And he, excuse me, he had a way to, if you said, I remember I hadn't been to Musso and Frank's restaurant in LA before. And he said, you go, you sit at the counter, you get the hearts of lettuce salad with the Roquefort dressing, then lamb chops medium rare, and like he had the whole thing. It was like, this is what you do. This is the Musso and Frank experience. And sure enough, I did it exactly the way he suggested. And it was fantastic. So I like picking up on other people's rituals as well. I actually have a friend named Julie who is a real, like, she's kind of like a Martha Stewart type person. She's just, kind of produces a household with all these amazing decorations and themed dinners for different times of the year and holidays. And the house is always decorated for some type of holiday. And she just loves rituals, and her kids are worried that, when they do something great, we're going to have to do this exact same thing next year at the exact same time, because mom's going to say, we want to make that a new ritual. It's like, let's not make everything a ritual, but I think that's kind of fun, and it's fun to be a part of a household like that has a lot of them.
Oh, you're muted, Chris.
All right. Is it working now?
Yeah, I got you.
Hello? Okay, sorry. Yeah. I was thinking when I was like, for the holidays or whenever I go home to, like my parents' house, we always sort of have the same meals that are like, these are meals that we have when the kids are home. And like my parents are excited about it too. Like this.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Like, we get to order from this place. Maybe.
Can you hear me? Looks like you're crackling up for everybody. Let me, I was going to say, just come in and go out and come back in real quick. Chris?
Domenica, how about you for rituals? What are your go-tos?
Yeah, it's like pre and post birth would be my dress. I'm like one of the working moms that you mentioned that really want comfort or like craving comfort. So pre-children, my ritual was yoga. Just like get up and do a 6 a.m. class of hot yoga, and that was phenomenal. There'd be like an element of meditation to that, and just the stretch and the deepening and the silence, and so that was really powerful just to have that as a regular part of my life. And then at some points in my life, meditation has been a core. That's like sitting meditation, mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath. But post kids, I have not got I should say a ritual for myself down. Right now, my ritual is like get the kids up, get their teeth brushed, make them breakfast, homeschool, like so we have like kids ritual down, but I was still searching for that consistent ritual right now for myself to work in it a bit more. Oh, you're
David,
muted.
You're muted too. Ooh, wow.
Sorry, that's dumb.
No, that's okay.
Operator error on my own app. I hate when I misuse my own app. Rev, I was just going to ask about your rituals as well.
Oh, mine. Oh, man. I was thinking a lot about baseball when I used to play baseball and the rituals in baseball. I definitely, those can be superstitions, I think, or rituals, and probably that's kind of interesting too. Those might be kind of interchangeable in some ways, and but rituals that I do now, I definitely have a certain process. The oh, okay, yeah, I see that. I certainly have a process when I start things. Let's take a look here. Thanks, David, for giving us that. There's a big smoke cloud over to the east of me, concerned right now. And if it's a real problem, I will go live. Otherwise, just keeping an eye on the big white smoke. Hey, James, I'm giving you an invite if you want to hop up here and give us a view of what's going on. And are you safe? Hopefully, man, this is Oregon. Yeah, you guys have been a tinderbox in Oregon as well. So we'll see if James pops up here and or if he is around here for a reply. That is a good tip there, David. And one of the like kind of David, you probably take a minute to tell people one of the reasons this platform came about was like just what we're seeing possibly occurring here.
Yes, that's true. We were originally, our very first idea was let's build this platform, because imagine you could have an open source CNN where everybody could help news gather with a cool app and a mobile phone. And so we originally envisioned it for news gathering primarily. But what we found was there were so many other people, musicians, subject matter experts, talk show hosts, comedians, other artists of other different type. So many people were using it, and so we just sort of let the audience take us in new directions, and we've had a lot of success with that. So, but I do think in the long run, I do hope that it's fully taken advantage of as a news gathering tool and a news dissemination tool, because I think like a lot of people, I'm not really satisfied with how the news media is functioning these days. And so to democratize it a little bit and help promote citizen journalism and help promote other voices, that are outside of the, the command system of the big networks, that would be a good thing for our society.
100% agree. And I can hear the executive producer walking, this big studio we have here, right, to the kitchen. And but that reminds me that well, I'll just go to this. Journalism and this platform, I think, it's just a perfect combo. And I'm not like allowed, according to the executive producer over there in the kitchen, to ask a question of somebody like you, sir, that you kind of have to say yes to on the air. But, I like to do it. But no, David's like, wait, what's he going to ask me? But no, I really would love to see some kind of, because Dominica also has these community connections. But I have been trying, this is actually the question I want to ask you, because you have media contacts, and I have been trying to no avail. And we've had Emmy winners, Grammy winners. I'm making my way up with actors and musicians. Where I'm not getting any traction is news people. And I would really like to find a way to bring young journalists in, communities like Chatham in Chicago, or Auburn Gresham in Chicago, or Inglewood or Compton, in LA, or some places back east, that we could give them, maybe the tools, obviously are the platform, but kind of, I don't know, sponsor them or something. But I want to get the hands in these, I want to get the folks in these communities on the platform. And I want to do it in a way that, go ahead.
Yes, very much. I'm with you. That was always our hope. It was always my hope that, if there's sort of a mysterious ongoing story that the media just still doesn't understand, like murders in Chicago, wouldn't it be interesting if the people inside that world took us in there and helped us learn and understand what's happening? in their voice and
Yes.
from their point of view. That's what Happs is built for. So I hope I always encourage, people to take full advantage of it and to hope and to get that, to be a part of that information system.
Well, that's fantastic. I think Dominica might be able to make a comment on that too, I'm guessing. But definitely, David, I would love to talk to you because I've even got some ideas of what we can, it wouldn't be hard for the journalists, but it's just like anything else. Having a Grammy winner on here helps people see the show, and that helps us do the other things we want to do. And I think the news folks could be just, the kids would be excited and that kind of stuff. So I want to be great. We'll get to talk offline. Appreciate that. And looks like James Garland is here. Let's see, James, I can bring you in. And oh, nope, that Peter was doing it at the exact same time I was. Go ahead, Peter. There you go, buddy. Thank you. James, so tell us what's going on.
Well, in this area, we've had a lot of fires recently. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the news or not, but I've had friends that have been evacuated from Blythe, which is about 30 miles east of Klamath Falls. But this first time I looked over towards the east, and there's just a big white cloud right now, and I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime.
Oh wow!
So I'm a little concerned that I haven't had a chance to check the regular news, just to see the local stuff. But I got my binoculars out and I was looking at it. I mean, this looks like a big explosion. And it's not.
Do you have a?
It's not. It's all together. I mean, it's just a big cloud going up.
Are you able to be mobile? Like, is that a laptop?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can get a good shot. I'll put it on the on my cell phone and see if I can get a good shot.
Okay. Join us from your cell phone. See if you can get a good shot. That would be good.
The Happs app
I'll hook it up.
mobile.
I'll hook it up and see if I can go live with that.
Yeah, because you can have them both hooked up at the same time. So
right. Well, just give you a quick idea of my background, not to try to promote, but
go ahead.
It's a good time opportunity. But I started a local news organization, newspaper called TNT, Two Leg News, 11 years ago. And I do local and national news stories. Been doing it for a long time. Used to be a radio. I'm doing a radio show now on Happs. Okay, I don't have a whole lot of views, but I'm not concerned with that because I'm trying to get the local community on board with me. The local theater to get their Happs channel, the museum to get their Happs channel, so we can come together as a group in a local area with Happs channel. So I'm not worried. No offense to the worldwideness of Happs, but I'm trying to bring on more people locally in a community. And so I'm not worried about my numbers right now because of that reason. I'm working harder on getting the local community to get Happs channels.
Well, it's always the quality of your followers versus the quantity, in most cases. Sometimes you might need brute force, but that building that community, that hyper local focus, that's even, I think what we're talking about with the journalists,
I even ran for mayor back last November. I was the underdog, but I got 672 votes. So I'm very well known within the community. I know people from the less fortunate. I don't like to use the word homeless, but because I've been there, I know what it's like. But from less fortunate all the way to people in power. I mean, one of the Circuit County judges, I know her. She was my former attorney. The chief of police knows. I mean, so I'm known up and down Main Street in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And there's times when people know me, see me walking by because they've seen my stuff. In fact, one of the managers at Fred Meyer's today, because I always give copies, because I do hard copies too, one page every so often. And that's going into the museum. They're archiving my news articles into the museum here locally.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really.
He was telling me that. He said, "Well, do you have an extra copy?" I said, "Sure." I said, "You want me to give you another one?" I said, "No." He says, "But I have a friend of mine that he lives in Tule Lake, where I started, and that's about 30 miles south of here." He says, "But he always likes to get a copy." And I didn't ask
that is a great story, James. Keep us see if we can get that mobile set up. We've got about 8 minutes left. Dominica's, like never
And I
had this
started
much
over
free
every
time between
time
the
to share who
kids,
I am.
and her being
Yeah.
able to, go to sleep. So try to get hooked up on the mobile there,
Okay.
James. And yes, we set off Alexa. Hi, Alexa. Thanks for joining us. Let's
And I didn't mean to overwhelm your program. I just woke up from a nap.
Alexa, stop.
So,
There we go. Okay, that's a show for another night. But let's have a song from Chris. I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
Okay. Hi. So this one is more upbeat one about getting to well, first of all, I went on in 2019 I did this tour. I did all 50 states in about 6 months, driving myself around, and somewhere in Arizona I ran out of gas, and I was on the side of the road for 4.5 hours, and the guy who finally showed up was like, "Oh, do you come here often?" And I was like, "Dude, that might have been cute 4 hours ago." Yes, I come here all the time to the side of the freeway, it's so pleasant. I love it. It inspired a song called 20 Miles to Empty, and which I wrote with Angie Kielhauer. She's an awesome country artist. And I am actually putting out, and it's on my album, The Skies We Look To, that came out at the end of April, but I am putting out an extended version of the album on July 23rd. This version, called the summer version, is coming out this Friday, the 16th. It'll also be on the extended version of the whole album. It'll also include a new, brand new song that no one's ever heard. And so my same shameless self-promotion. July 23rd, I have a Hotel Cafe show, my first show back at a venue with an audience. You can also still watch online. You can get tickets. It is also my birthday. My identical twin sister will be singing with me. It's her birthday too. What do you know? And
I forgot that.
And the extended version of my album is coming out. So please come, whether you are watching online or in person. I hope you can come in person, because I want to hear you singing back to me, because I miss that shit. All right, this song's called 20 Miles to Empty. 20 miles to empty, and I got 15 miles to go. Afraid I'm going nowhere down this one-way road. My wheels keep on spinning, 'cause my soul keeps on singing these words, even when it hurts. Static on the radio is a harsh and lonely sound. I've come too far to give it up and turn back now. I was born to gamble, to question and to ramble. I don't have much, but I've got. I don't have much, but I've got soul. Even when it feels like my whole train is off the tracks, I know my heart's been stolen and I might not get it back. I'll always have a song to sing and stubborn will to get me through the night. Get me through the night. Da, 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 da. Sunset through the windshield, well, it almost makes me blind. Reminds me of this feeling that I'm running out of time. With all the world of glitter, even when it's tasting bitter, I got more to show. They took everything I had, but they can't take this from me. Best things in a lifetime don't take cash, but they're not free. I can feel it coming. No, I'm fighting, I'm not running. I don't have much, but I've got soul. I don't have much, but I've got soul. Even when it feels like my whole train is off the tracks, I know my heart's been stolen and I might not get it back. I'll always have a song to sing, stubborn will to get me through the night. Get me through the night. Da 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 da. Ooh. been stolen and I might not get it back. I'll always have a song to sing, stubborn will to get me through the night. Get me through the night. Da-da-da-da. It's 20 miles to empty and I got 50 miles to go. But I know somehow that I'm gonna make it home. And those links are in my socials at Chris Angeles on Instagram and Twitter. The link in my bio, you can find pre-order the album and get your tickets to the show.
Awesome, Chris. Really cool.
Thanks.
Very, very,
Beautiful.
very cool. I think, James stepped away. I think James is saying that he is on his channel. So everybody out there, let me, let's pull him up. Yeah, it's at James Garland. So just go to at James Garland here on Happs, and you can jump into his broadcast, which is going live now. And wow, everybody. I don't know. Like, I think I have a pretty good panel here. Sometime we might all want to get together. I know we're all pretty busy, but I think we should get together again sometime and dig into these things a little more. I think David, you're just, your desire to know this, which is not stopped, since at least Cheers, and all of these different ideas around it that you have. It's fantastic. And Dominica bringing the neuroscience in, and Chris,
I love learning about that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's an area that we could even, dig into a little bit more as well too, and that would be fun. And we have Ian. We do have a neuroscientist at Happs too. So we should definitely talk about picking this up again. And just wow, I think this is now the second time you've been on with me, and hopefully we'll be doing more stuff with Become. That's if you want to type that in there, Dominica, Become's website, w.becomecenter.org, and just so thrilled to have you here with us and so excited about the possibilities of the work you're doing being here on the platform. And Chris Angeles, like I said, I manifested that trip to LA, and part of it was that I wanted to be able to be there for your birthday, but it got me there a couple of weeks early. But you never know, could get a ticket in the mail tomorrow. We'll keep our hopes up. So,
Chris, really great to meet you as well, Chris.
Yeah, beautiful talent.
Oh, you're muted again. I got you.
Thank you.
Wow, everybody's doing it but me tonight.
Sorry. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be part of this panel, and it's so great to meet you too, both of you.
Well, that was fantastic. And yeah, David, Chris, I think maybe you did, and Dominica, but you want to do a couple quick parting thoughts? And just thanks, everybody. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Pablo, and everybody out there watching tonight.
Dominica?
Yeah, I just want to say, David, so good to meet you. Chris, great to be here with you, experience you, your talents.
You too.
And Rev, of course, I don't need to say any words to convey how much you mean to me. But I guess my parting thoughts would be like, get a healthy, healing, holistic ritual in your life.
Love that. Great message. My parting thoughts is just, again, Rev, Chris, Dominica, what a pleasure. Thank you, Rev, for having me and introducing me to these two wonderful people. And we are so thrilled that people are using Happs and enjoying it. And we're always interested in suggestions about how we can make it better. And you know how to get a hold of me.
Yay.
Yeah. And everybody, your ideas, give them to the folks at Happs. There's different ways to do it. Reporting, you can email Peter. You just hit me with a DM on Instagram, and I'll talk to you about it too, and we can bring it to the folks there. They will, they'll respond. It's not, like YouTube where you're like, this is would be a good idea. And they're like, yeah, whatever. These guys will do it. It's a great platform. Again, everybody at Happs, thank you so very much. Everybody watching. This was great. Live streaming, folks. It's got billions of dollars to come through it. So get on here, get on this platform, get your foothold in live streaming, because this is the wild, wild west of live streaming. Make a home for yourself on Happs. It is a great place. Thanks, everybody. We will see you guys soon. And that was a blast. And really, really enjoyed it. We will see you all soon. Thanks for the Happs takeover, because I don't get to push the ending button. So I don't know what to do here, Peter, but peace be with you and namaste.
We'll let Peter do that.
Yep.